Putinha gets the opening goal just as she did on Saturday.
Putinha gets the first goal in the first period. You got to forgive me if I'm a little excited. It took a while in that first game, but Boston on the power play. Putinha past Elaine Chuli. Boston up 1-0.
The Riveters with a couple of quick ones, 8 seconds apart, Erica. Here it is.
As the saying goes, 1-800-RIVS are rolling. As you mentioned, off that face-off center ice, Kaylee Hutchison. Woo-wee! Bar down for number 13, one of the alternate captains for this Riveters squad. And as you said, we're going through the first goal, and we get another one. The tippiest of toes Waleko used to stop this puck. Whatever was ailing her and her equipment, it got fixed because, my goodness, did that skate help her out there. Had no idea where the puck was. Halloran essentially guides her goalie down to the puck to save a goal.
Erica, just as an analyst now covering hockey or even sports in general, are you aware, even as a black analyst, are you aware of the differences by the way different white athletes and black athletes are described as competitors? For example, black athletes are always seen as being athletic and the athleticism, whereas white athletes are seen as being intellectual or gritty. Do you take that into consideration when you're calling games or describing plays, when you're trying to decide what's happening on the ice?
Absolutely. I also know that there are differences in how women are covered, whether they are the athletes or the coaches, et cetera. And I'm very conscious of that. I think that we have, as analysts especially, a responsibility to call the game as we see it. But I'm also a color commentator. And so being able to bring in storylines is what I appreciate. And so I try to think differently about the storylines that I bring in, knowing that there are a lot of stereotypes that, if we're being honest, the media don't necessarily always take the time to correct or to steer away from. And so that is something that I think about a lot.
And in the first game, we had Kira Dostal-Arena actually got married up in Lake Placid last year. And there was the bridesmaid versus the groomsman ice hockey game that they had.
Oh, wow.
The bridesmaids won.
Of course they did.
They had Kira Dostal-Arena, Janine Weber on that team as well.
Some firepower.
The groomsmen had no chance. No chance.
Call is interference. And an early power play coming for Metropolitan.
This is an area that the Riveters wanted to improve upon. Being able to be consistent on special teams overall is what head coach Ivo Mozek told us coming into this bubble season. I wonder if that was Babstock that sprawled out. We'll find out in a minute. Shelley cannot keep that tight within the pads, and then flying Babstock, bam, saves a goal. Is that now the Babstock hat trick?
So Dana, I would like to go to you. We're talking for this webisode and we're talking to the next generation. Can you talk a little bit about what you were able to glean from being an athlete and then being sports adjacent that you feel has helped you in the role that you have now with Dunkin?
I think the most, I don't know, there's two that I just have to say.
I think so far what we can deduce from this Toronto team is that they want to play a physical, aggressive style of hockey. They have speed, they have some size there. Now, of course, you have to learn how to play into how the game is being called. And so Toronto finding themselves in the box early in this game.
Turn back to last year, these two teams were right at the top of the standings.
Absolutely. This is the matchup everyone wants to see in 2021 because we missed out on this matchup in the 2020 Isabel Cup final. These two teams at the top of the table, followed by the Riveters that got their first win of 2021.
Anson, you've shared your experiences briefly. You've heard Saroya walk through hers. What advice would you give to young Black players, regardless of gender, that are coming up in the game that may experience some of the things you both have and may have to have, as Saroya mentioned, some of those difficult or awkward conversations?
I think, Erica, it comes down to staying true to who you are.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that work that you're doing in community, what that looks like, and how people can engage and get involved with the work that you're actively doing?
Yeah, so currently I have my GoFundMe fundraiser for Black Girl Hockey Club. Thank you for pointing that out, Erica.
Hold on a second. You can't just mention mentorship and not tell the viewing audience how you get involved with that mentorship. Like, how, if I've got someone who wants to get down with that, how do we get involved with that, Saroya?
Apple to Anson, apple for Anson Carter. Yes, let's have it, Saroya. Let us know where we can follow you.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm new to this. I'm getting used to it.
Audra Richards looking for a goal of her own. And it's Winnie Rote-Brown. 42 and still putting them in the net. Give a shout out to what head coach Ivo Mozek called the best signing of the offseason. That's assistant coach, former captain, original captain of the then New York Riveters, Ashley Stretch Johnston. A bench boss for this Riveters team and getting a lot of praise from the head coach and from players that she has played with before.
One more face-off, but they're going to start this NWHL season in style at 2-0, Erica.
I honestly think the last few seconds of this period have been some of the best that we've seen from the Riveters defensively. Ashley Stretch Johnston, which we see on the high side of the bench right there. Nice. What is that, velvet? Beautiful jacket there. But Ashley Stretch Johnston got to be excited with what her Riveters were able to do right there at the end, playing defensively.
Well, just as good as the win was your Coming to America reference on the air. I appreciate that. Anderson was right there on the doorstep.
We mentioned Casey Anderson, one of those players that, it's eat, sleep hockey and, a little bit of homework in between. As we hear Brass Bonanza, Hoffman does good to make 1-2 saves, but can't cover it up. Tinker tries to get in on the action, but the puck ekes past the line. And you know what? I'm sure Connecticut will take it either way.